Okay, so let me share some of the questions here. Okay, so one of the popular question among interviews are a population group and work group. So basically, what's the difference between these terms? How population and groups are different? Okay, so that's a one popular question because these three terms are sometimes people get confused very easily among work group, groups, and population. That's where interview do ask question and they just try to see whether how much confident person is in terms of explaining the answer. Anybody want to give a try about this one? If or you want me to explain this again, we can discuss that as well. Work group is although like altogether different. There's no correlation, but this one population groups, these two work hand in hand. So that's where it's very and very like uh, important to understand the difference between these two terms. Anybody want to give it a try? Prakash?
I
No,
know
no,
there
it
is a
doesn't.
difference, but I don't remember, frankly speaking. I have to
Okay.
go again to the training.
Training,
Uh,
right, right.
I remember you explained this thoroughly, but like it slipped out of my mind now.
Yeah. This happens actually when we do prepare for the things. Only then we recall, and it stay only for 10 to 15 days, right? Unless until we do the practical. So
Yeah,
like I'm doing practical every day, right? It's not only I'm just giving the training. I'm doing the practical as well every day. So that's why I know these topics very well.
yeah.
How about you, Prakash? Any idea?
Then, Vinay, actually, I know you
Forgot,
have
right?
explained this.
Haha.
Yeah,
Anusha?
totally forgot.
Uh, no, no, Vinay.
Okay, let me just quickly tell then. So group was the one which is a kind of only one attribute we can pick the select query, right? When we want to select some set of users. So set of user based on the one attribute is the group, but if it's on the multiple attribute, then it's a population. So I gave the example of location, right? Based on the location, we want to create a group. So location is the only attribute for group, but population is like more than one attribute. Location as well as department. So that's the main difference between these two. Although there was very like I gave you very detailed uh, difference between these two terms, but that's a high level you can explain in an interview. People will get satisfied with that answer.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Second is this one out of the box. So whenever I say OOTB, right, this is also very general term people do use in any of the tool. OOTB means out of the box. Okay. Whenever any tool they provide some kind of basic functionality, so we call it as OOTB. So you will hear this word very often whenever you can talk to business or sometime with the vendors, right? So OOTB is out of the box, and one is out of the box, and second is custom. Whatever we do create our code, that's a custom, but whatever vendor do provide, that's out of the box. Okay, so one of the out of the box LCM workflow. Okay, so which is very popular. So do we know what is that LCM workflow name? So we should know actually the LCM workflow
Life
name.
cycle management.
It's no, actually LCM is like that's a life cycle. There are two different things. Let me open that console.
It
Where is
seems
that?
I'm getting too old. I'm not remembering things.
No, that's fine. It's very easy to get confused among these two things. Sometimes even because I'm onto it on every day, that's why I do recall it very easily. But even I was getting confused in the beginning days. So whatever we do talks about from here, that's a LCM, life cycle manager. But whatever we are seeing here under this one is lifecycle events. So lifecycle manager is related to this one related to self-service request, but lifecycle event is specific to this area, which is joiner, lever, all those processes. So these are two different kind of functionality and workflows we can say. And we know, right? Whenever we want to see any workflows under this one, we have to come here under lifecycle event. So these are the workflows name. But if you want to see the workflow which are related to this one, which is LCM, we have to come here under lifecycle manager. This is the LCM. Okay, so under LCM, so the business process which I was talking about is this one, LCM provisioning. So this is the workflow name. This is most popular workflow name in Sailpoint, and this is being used in many different functionality, and people do modify this as well to achieve some custom requirement as well. So if somebody will ask you what is the out of the box LCM workflow name, so that's a LCM provisioning. LCM provisioning is the workflow name. And I think we know,
Yep.
right? What? Yeah, go ahead.
One question. Before you get into the third one, can you tell something about the connectors? Because I have experience previously. One of the interview asked for the connectors, and I know
Okay.
we have a lot of connectors in SailPoint, which is we can customize to our according to our to match the organization need.
So
But
you
I'm
want to
not.
understand what is connector? That is your question, or what are the different connectors we do have?
You can tell both. I know something about the connectors.
Mhm.
Better you can explain.
So
It would be
connector is a, we can say connector is a interface which is the out of the box code written by SailPoint. Okay, I'm just talking about in terms of SailPoint, but connector is a generic term for each and every tool. Even we do talk about any of the IDM tools, they provide connectors. So connector is related to IDM tool only. It's not related to target application. So what IDM tool does, so they do create some piece of code which actually take input from the end user, and that connector will be having that functionality as per the target team. So let's say Active Directory is different, right? We know Active Directory is LDAP based kind of system. We know if we are talking about to some database, it's a JDBC kind of database. Okay, so there are many different kind of system, right? Some of them are working on Java, some of them working on .NET, some of them are CSV file, RDBMS, okay, web service based connector, REST API, SOAP API, right? So there are many different SAP based system, right? There are many different kind of system in the market. Now how IDM tool will understand like what kind of functionality, how to achieve their functionality, right? How to create user in that account. So that's where each and every tool, any of the IDM tool, they have to write some logic. Then they need to do the conversion as well. So sale point data it will read, and then it will send it back to the target system. Okay, so that's the interface. Basically connector is the interface between sale point and the target system to serve all the requests, provisioning related requests as well as the aggregation. So these are two operations, right? Provisioning and aggregation. To serve both the operations, it's a connector between SailPoint and the target team. So these are the connectors. So now SailPoint has created bunch of connectors, how it can talk to target team. So you can see here, right? This is the area where you can see what are different connectors. Come to application, under application definition, you need to create a new application. So that's how you can reach to this page where you can see what are different connectors present. So this is a list of different connectors which are present here, libraries. If we see it from the UI, so from the UI we can see these are the different kind of connectors present. For Active Directory we use this one. So Active Directory Direct, this is the one connector which we use more often. Okay, and next is the Azure Active Directory. So I'll be just talking about more some of the common connectors which we use in day to days. Okay, second is the Azure Active Directory, which is again related to Azure Active Directory connector where we configure Office 365. And then we had delimited file, and the other thing important, like as soon as I'll select this one Active Directory Direct, I'm gonna see different page, right? It will refresh itself, and earlier there were only details, right? So let me go back, new application. So here you can see only details now, right? There's not no other tab you can see here. So after selection of any connector, it will just refresh this page, and it will be different window for each and every connector. It's not going to be the same because web service will work different and the other connector will work different. Okay, so if I click on Active Directory Direct, so you're gonna see this window will come, but each and every window do have different things, right? Let's say for this Active Directory, we have different kind of rules: segregation rule, provisioning rule, schema, where account and group, these are the rules present. But if I do talk about some other application, let's say JDBC, here we have some different rule, right? Connector rule, build map rule, customization rule, schema level rule. So it will be a totally different kind of thing here. So that's where it difference. That's why coding is written in such a way, it will be different for each and every connector, because each and every application is different. Those are written in different kind of technology, right? So Active Directory is the one of the important one. And then we have Azure Active Directory, which we do work on day-to-day basis. Delimited file is something we already worked on it, and it's also very important whenever there is no support for one of the application which is very old legacy. So we generally do agree with the target team, like configure the delimited file, where we're gonna agree on one shared location. Over there, they're gonna send the file, and we also gonna update the files. Then go to meeting, right? This is a tool which we are using right now. That's one we can configure. We can create account in GoToMeeting as well. IBM Lotus, IBM DB2. So all the IBM related different technology we can also connect. So you can see IBM Tivoli Access Manager, right? Security Identity Manager. So it does provide to the different identity tool as well connection. So from Sailpoint system, you can also connect to different identity management system as well. So JDBC is the main component. So whenever I do talk about 3-4 different applications, standard applications, right? So one is the Active Directory, second is JDBC, third is web service, and fourth is a delimited file. Okay, these are the four key kind of application where people generally do ask question most of the time.
Vinay,
Yep.
you can hear me, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I just want to ask, basically, we have to understand the type of application before, we select, appropriate connectors, right, to match that.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Right. So this is something we need to select application type. So firstly, you're gonna work with the target team. Okay. So you need to work with the target team. You need to understand what kind of application is that. So they need to give you the response. Like we are JDBC related, we are web service based. Most of the applications are generally web service based application nowadays. So and then if it's a SAP, so we know it's a SAP, right? If it's IBM, we know IBM. Okay. So you need to come here then, and you can see under which category it fits. Okay. In case you're not able to understand under which category it is getting fit, right? You can, because you are working as a partner or as a customer, right? You're working for some customer, so you will be having access of Compass, which is a SailPoint portal. Over there you can raise a support ticket as well with SailPoint. Okay, so SailPoint will help you in terms of identifying which is the right connector for you, which you can choose among these. Okay, as soon as you'll tell the target application functionality, like this is the application you want to connect, so they will help you in terms of which is the one is right for you. Like you can see SAP, direct GRC, HANA, right? These are the most popular system nowadays from the SAP point of view. So does that
Okay.
answer, Prakash?
Yes, yes, got it.
So like firstly you need to understand from the application end what are the technology they're using. Then you need to use your knowledge, or you can Google it out in terms of what kind of technology is that. You can come here. Still, if you're not able to find out, you need to reach out to SailPoint support with the help of Compass portal.
Okay.
Microsoft SQL Server Direct, SailPoint, SharePoint, right? These are the other important connectors. Oracle, PeopleSoft related to HR system. This HCM is again HR system, which are like our source, trusted source of system.
Vinay, here if we take, yeah, the service now example. So
Mhm.
we are using this connector, and for what purpose? Like if the request is submitted in Snow, for that sync, are we using this connector, or what exactly it does?
ServiceNow we do use for the provisioning purpose. Okay, whenever we want to create account in ServiceNow, so we can use this connector to create account in ServiceNow. So if you see here, here we can write provisioning policies, and here is the schema. These are different attributes for the target application. Okay, so you can just with the help of this setting, what you need to do here, you are saying the authentication type. Then ServiceNow team will provide you the URL. What is the URL they do have? You need to put it here. Then password, username, you need to find, put it here, and then save it. You can do the test connection as well. Are you able to connect to a target system? So once you're able to connect with the target system, then schema is something, it's specific to ServiceNow. Snow kind of schema is there. So whatever attributes
Okay.
you're seeing, these are the ServiceNow attributes. These are not specific to SailPoint. Okay, so sys and all, right, these are the ServiceNow attributes. So that's how SailPoint has configured these connectors specific to each and every application. Okay, so it's very easy. As soon as you see all the things are here, then it comes to the standard things it will do. That will not be any challenge. But if you want to do some kind of more customization, then you can use these kind of rules present here: before provisioning rule, after provisioning rule. Sometime if you see in your environment, you can see these are also configured. Okay, so that is something you can use in case of you want to make more changes. So like if by default you are creating a user with first name, something like that, but there's a requirement to create some different name, right, and rather than first name, then you can use some custom rules.
Okay, so in automation, we are trying to automate actually. So once they submit the request, directly it should
Mhm.
provision the access. In that case, will this come into picture? Like,
When somebody is requesting from here, is it manage request?
no, from the Snow itself.
Okay, from Snow, when somebody raises a request, you are trying
Yeah,
to.
it directly, it should add the group. It should go to the Sailpoint directly, that request, and it will provide, the access will be provisioned via Sailpoint. So,
Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, so that functionality is basically not being served from here. Okay, so
mhm.
that's a different functionality, and that generally we do with the integration config. The SailPoint, they do provide integration config as well.
Okay.
ServiceNow, I think it's not present. It's a separate module which is not present right now. So once you raise a ticket with the SailPoint support, so they will
Mhm.
provide you some integration config module as well for ServiceNow. Okay,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
so yeah, so once you onboard that, with the help of that, you can consume those ServiceNow ticket as well within SailPoint. But for that, you need to make some customization as well. It's not like you're gonna use the same way, because there will be different requirement as per your need.
Okay, the
But
Snow
yeah,
team have to work on it, I guess.
yes, Snow team need to work on it, and they need to provide template and everything. So you're gonna consume
Right.
those template from
Okay.
their system.
Same thing with AD as well, right?
AD, is it like we're gonna do the provisioning with the AD connector? But AD is not a ServiceNow kind of ticketing tool, right? So these kind of requirements generally do come from the ServiceNow. When ServiceNow they want to raise a ticket, and SailPoint will do the assignment of the group, right? But in when
But
we
it
talk
should
talk
get replicated into Active Directory. Like once the sale point is everything added, now from sale point it should replicate into AD directly without any.
that is yeah, that's a straightforward thing. So basically, ServiceNow data will come to our system, SailPoint, and from SailPoint, when we talk about Active Directory, it's a direct provisioning only, right? So we're gonna use this Active Directory direct connector here. And if you come to configuration, you can see you need to configure all these things here. Active Directory configuration. Then schema is there, right? So it's a
Mhm.
regular provisioning. So there is no much challenge actually for that.
Okay,
Yeah,
this thing
actually,
we can set up in sale point itself to
Yes,
AD.
that is some. Yes, right. In Sailpoint, we can set up the AD thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Integration config is only for ServiceNow, or there are two, three different tools as well in the market. Only for those things you need to configure integration config. So that is to like fetch the data from their system. But for rest of the other connectors, it's straightforward. Like you want to do the provisioning and all, right? Provisioning or aggregation. But the ticketing tool is something where you need to fetch the data. That's not the provisioning and aggregation.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Prakash,
Uh,
you have a
when,
question?
yeah. One question is service. We are also using ServiceNow to manage
Mhm.
the incidents actually. Okay, so I believe ServiceNow is also a different tool where we can raise a kind of any incident, and we can work on the based on the incident. But SailPoint is a different tool where we can directly we have the work item IDs, we can connect the target applications, everything. But what is the use of connecting the service now in SailPoint IAQ?
So firstly, as a part of IDEM system, right? It's a governance system. Under governance system, you want to make sure in an organization, all the applications, they should be onboarded based on the one system, right? And which is SailPoint. So whenever somebody joins the organization, so HR will send data to us, and then we want to create account in all the systems. ServiceNow is also one of the system, right? So
Yeah,
do people to go to ServiceNow and raise an incident, firstly they need to have account of ServiceNow, right?
yeah,
Who will give that
yeah.
account? That's a service, that's a SailPoint. SailPoint will help to create account. As soon as somebody will join an organization as a birthright, as a standard set of applications, Active Directory, ServiceNow, email account, okay, so LMS portal, so these things are being provided by SailPoint. So unless until people are not having account, so they can't raise incident in SailPoint, sorry, in ServiceNow.
Yeah.
So that's the first way, so why we need SailPoint for ServiceNow. Second is like people were using ServiceNow earlier to raise different kind of access request, but they are just a manual thing, right? So what they're, that tool is just a manual configuration, so people are raising request, but that is being assigned to some particular queue, right? And people need to check that queue, like somebody is looking for this access and they will do it manually, right, in the target system. But what SailPoint is doing, people will raise request here itself, approval will take place, and automatically will do the provisioning in target system, right? So it's an advanced way of it. That's why people are moving away from ServiceNow and they are adopting SailPoint for the service tool as well, request based tool.
Oh, yeah, got it.
and
Got it. I just
and
wanted.
like yeah, and like Anusha was also asking another question, right? That's the other requirement nowadays where they doesn't want to get away from ServiceNow as well, but still they want to use service SailPoint. Okay, so to accommodate this requirement for many of the application, what they do, they still using the ServiceNow, but for request purpose, request will come to SailPoint and SailPoint will do the provisioning. Okay, that's a, they are just bypassing this thing. They are they are not going to use this tool for request purpose, but for request will come from ServiceNow to SailPoint, and service SailPoint will do the provisioning, everything. So that's a kind of hybrid model between SailPoint and ServiceNow.
Yeah, got my answer. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so let's proceed next. Different stages of certification, right? I think you guys knows it that, but I'll just tell you. I know you might not be knowing this one also, or anybody wanna give it a try? Under certifications, what are the different stages? Well, I'll start with this one. First is generation, right? Generation, then staging. These are two stages. Total 5 stages we do have. Firstly, we do
Revocation.
have, yeah, revocation is the one of them. Third one is active stage, right? Where actually the certification manager will do the review and everything. And what was the fourth one? That's optional. So I told you, right, out of five, only two are the mandatory stages. First, generation, and second is the active. These are the two mandatory stages, but three of them are optional. One of them is staging, second is challenge, right? And third is a revocation. These are the three optional stages. So people do ask this question very often in interviews. Named attribute and placeholder attributes. I think we have covered recently only last Friday. I think you would be knowing the difference. Okay. Anybody have any doubt, or should I proceed next?
We're good, I think.
Great. So next is, if we have already installed IAQ, then we still uh, can we still create named extended attribute, right? So this is also I did explain on Friday. So if we have already installed IAQ, although it's best practice to use create named extended attribute in the beginning itself, but if you're not able to create, then we can also create, but we have to use a different command. So rather than using IIQ schema command, so people might be, so interview might be looking for the answer. What is the command you need to execute? If it's a beginning of the phase, then IIQ schema command you need to execute. But if it's after installation, then it's a IIQ extended schema. So this is the answer they are looking for actually. But that's the main difference between before installation and after installation. A perform maintenance task, right? This is the other important question, because this is keep on running in the environment every 5 minutes as a standard. So people do ask, what is the use of perform maintenance task? The perform maintenance task. So if you see here, I think I have covered that as well when I was talking about the different kind of troubleshooting approach. That's why we did cover that. So perform maintenance task is something we use to prune. First thing is the prune. That's one purpose of it, like prune the snapshot task result, right? Task result request. So basically, to make sure like system is not getting bugged up with the time, it's like you need to remove the data, old data. That's the pruning things. And pruning setting we can configure under the global setting here. Okay, one is that pruning thing, and second again the archive thing. Certification also is the important thing. Close the certification if it's already done. So what is the other important thing here? Yeah, certification related thing it does, pruning thing it does. Then yeah, this is the other important thing, work background workflow event. So generally what happens whenever we do trigger some kind of workflows, it it it's not triggering at the same time, it takes time. So it is just waiting for the perform maintenance task to run it in the background. So that's why this option is important. So workflow will be on standby unless until this task is running, and it will execute workflow in the background. Okay, it is also can be useful to number of background processes how we want to run, right? It depends on the CPU and memory. That's why we can give the specific number we should run. So this is the main use of perform maintenance. So main use is this one, background workflow event. That's what we use. And second is the pruning event and certification as well. So these are the three main use of this perform maintenance task, which generally do run every 5 minutes in the environment. Connector debug, you remember this was the one of the command we talked about in IIQ console commands. Under IIQ console command, connector debug is one of the command which we generally use to execute and to see how the application is responding, right? For it's a test connection kind of thing we generally do execute. There are 3 to 4 configuration. I have shared a document as well for IIQ console command, which you can refer in terms of how the connector debug command. People do ask this question as well in the interviews. Assigned and detected roles. Anybody want to give it a try? What are the assigned and detected roles? No? Okay. So assigned roles are the business role, right? So I told you there are two different kind of roles we do have, business and IT roles. So business roles are the assigned roles, which are being assigned from the Sailpoint, and IT roles are the detected roles. So that's why interviewer generally asks these questions just to get the confusion in your mind, because we knows about the business and IT role, but we just forget about the assigned and detected roles. So that's what they are looking for. So assigned roles are the business roles and detected roles are the IT roles, which do get detected in the system based on the entitlements. So that's the main difference among these two. So which all objects can have extended attribute in Sailpoint? We did cover that as well, right? On Friday, although I showed you about the identity, like identity, we can have extended attributes. But other than identity, we do have roles as well, where we do have extended attribute. We have entitlements. Under entitlements, we can have attributes. Application also can have extended attribute. So these are the different like objects, right, where we can have the entitlements. So you see application definition. So here, whatever you can see when we are saying create new application. So here, what are the attributes you can see here? So we can add more attributes here as well. Okay, so that's where we tell it like we can have this whole object also modifiable. Same way, uh, we have this roles, right? Whenever we are seeing new roles, so role, whatever attributes you are seeing here, these attributes, right, you can add one more attribute here. So that's where we are saying these are the extended attributes. So it's not only identity, because people do understand only from the high level it's identity object, we can do the extended attribute. But for roles, application, or entitlements also we can have this one. Even certification item can also have extended attributes. So next is what all do we need to install IIQ, right? So anybody want to give it a try? I think Prakash, you have
Server,
installed. Go ahead.
database, web server,
Sorry, yeah,
Tomcat,
database. Right? What
server
else?
database, the web server, Tomcat, or Manistr. So these are, I think, the main three components.
Right, right. I understood two, right. One is database, second is application server. What is the third one?
The web server.
Environment.
Yeah, it's a one thing only actually. When we say web server, application
Yeah,
server,
you're right. Yeah, you're right.
it's a one thing only. It's a two-tier or three-tier model actually. Application server, a three-tier model, and it's a two-tier model. So yeah, Prakash, you were also saying something?
Yeah, the third one is I said a server and maybe environment where we have been.
Oh yeah, right, right. So it's not only about IIQ. So it's a very general question for any of the application. When we want to install any application, we need one database where the data will reside. That's the first thing important. Second is the application server where the application will run, right? So it's need a platform. So that's the application. Third is the operating system, which is the operating system it will run. Because on top of the operating system only we're gonna have this database or application server, right? And then
Yeah.
for IIQ, we need the language as well. Which language it need to configure? Like Java, we know, right? So Java is the language which need to be configured before we plan for this one. So that's all we have installed, right? During our installation time, we did install database, we did install web server and Java language before we did install to IIQ. Okay, so that's where people will try to ask whether you do have the basic knowledge in terms of installation, or you do have the overall idea about IIQ. It's not only just going inside the IIQ, but the overall framework when we have to design something.
Sorry, guys. I have to drop. I listen to the recording at later stage. I have another meeting. Nice meeting
Sure,
you
sure, yeah.
all.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, it was really nice having a discussion with you here. Yeah,
Take
have a
care,
good day.
guys.
Yeah,
Bye, bye,
yeah. Bye bye.
Bye. Yeah. Take care.
bye.
So let's proceed to the next one, which is difference between task and UI server. People do ask this question as well. What is the difference between task and UI server? I think I didn't cover this difference between task and UI server. Let me cover it up right away. So, so you can see this server, right? This is the UI server. UI is a GUI, right, which you can see on your screen. So what happens actually in production server, we do have many different servers, and it's not only one server. Right now we have installed only on one server, right, single host. But actually in production environment we have 4 to 5 different servers. Out of those 4 to 5, like 2 of them we make it as a UI server, and 2 of them we make it as a task server. So UI server is the one where end user will come and they can play around with the UI, and they can raise requests and all, right. But there are 2 servers which are dedicated for the background task and run, like these are the tasks, right. So tasks are very heavy weighted, so that's where we don't run this on the single server. So it's like dividing the work, right. 2 of the server we are saying you people can navigate and you can do whatever you want. But as soon as you click on this task, like I click background, executing background, it's not going to run on the same server. It will run on the other server, 3 or 4 server, if we have total 4 server. So how to divide like these servers? These should not be running on this server and should run somewhere else. So to accomplish this, you need to come on the administrative console here. Under administrative console, we have environment. Under environment, we have this one. Click on this setting here. Under setting, you will see some of the services, right? What services we can configure. So here you're gonna see task. Okay. So this task is the key factor. As soon as I'll click on this toggle button, so it means no task will run on this server. Okay. So that's the key feature. When you do have 4 servers, so 2 of the server will disable this one, and 2 of the server will enable this one. It means request will always going to go on those 2 servers only. That is really helpful in terms of managing the workload. Because end user going to use the UI is also creating the workload, and task is also going to create problems. So in that case, nothing will get crashed and you will be able to serve all the request. So that's the main purpose. How to configure is basically from here. You need to come here, administrative console, the environment. Under environments you have settings, then you can enable and disable this task button here. Next is the how to store task results without overriding the previous run. So when was the last run happened, so you don't want to override that result, but you want to store as a new one. Here if you see the task, right, under task result, agree this one, right, aggregation employee 1 and 2. So you're able to see both the, let me show you, aggregation 1, 2, and this, right, all these 3 occurrence you can see. As soon as I'll run this task again, aggregate employee, you're gonna see 1, 2, 3, and this one, right. So you are having access to see the previous occurrence as well. It's not like it's going to override this one. So how we can do that is basically from this value. Under aggregate employee we have this option, previous result action. So delete means it will delete, it's not going to keep it. If you say rename old, rename new, only then it will work. If you say rename old, right, so it means it is going to rename your old occurrence and it will create a new file with the aggregate employees. So that's where it is helpful. So people are generally looking for this answer. So this is the answer for that, previous result action under edit task. You can configure it, and based on that you can just store your previous run results. It will not overwrite. Difference between business, IT, and entitlement roles, we know, right? Business roles is the topmost role, IT role is just inside business role, and entitlement is inside IT roles. So that's a hierarchy, top down approach. So one is business, IT role, and entitlements. Okay, so any questions as of now?
No, when I actually my mobile battery is dried, going to dry.
Oh, you're driving, is it, right now?
My mobile battery is going to get dry.
Oh, okay. Your battery, mobile battery. Okay, so I'll just take 5 more minutes. So that's fine. You can refer that later as well.
So if I dropped off in between, so just inform me.
Sure, yeah, sure, Prakash. So next is how to authenticate Sailpoint login via Active Directory. So to answer this question, I told you, right, under global settings, we do have identity, IQ, login configuration. Under login configuration, we have login setting. Here we have pass-through authentication. So if I do configure pass-through authentication, which is Active Directory, so basically we need to create firstly application from here. So then it will show here. So if you configure pass-through authentication, only then you don't need to log in locally here. Like if I do sign out and then I again log in, it will directly do the authentication from the Active Directory only. So it's as easy as that. Okay, so to answer this one is basically you need to come here and configure the pass-through application. How to bring only valid account in entity IQ during aggregation. So during aggregation, how we can make sure only valid account will come to the identity IQ. So that is basically based on the task, aggregation task. This aggregation employees is a task, right? Under this one, you have this option. Only create link if they can be correlated to the existing identity. Okay, so it means if there's a correlation, like if there's any mapping between identity and the target system, only then it will correlate. If there's no mapping is present, in that case it's not going to fetch those accounts. Those are kind of invalid accounts. So as soon as you select this option, it will work for you. Okay, and this also I told you, right? Reports, basically reports are important, but there is no object present with the name of report in identity IQ. So what is the other object which is helpful for the reports? So people ask this question as well. So like I told you, here under identity IQ debug, we have task definition. So task definition, we have both the things. Either it's a report, this is a report, right? Reports or any task definition. Everything is under task definition, both the things. So to answer this one is like reports are defined identity under which object, that's a task definition. Okay, Sailpoint data connection detail. If you want to check after installation, from where you can check, right? If database is installed, how do you know which database you do have, whether it's a MySQL, Oracle, or which one? How to enable visibility of hidden attributes on UI. So like I told you recently only, so you need to come to debug page. From the debug page, you need to come to UI configuration. From UI configuration, you need to search for view attribute. So under view attribute, here you can add the new one attribute. As soon as you add the new attribute, you can see it on the UI. When I'm saying UI, it means here under identity warehouse, what are the attributes you can see, right? Let's say department was not there and we have added department on Friday or maybe Thursday. That's how we can do that. Okay, so these are the list of questions. So what I'll do, I'll paste it on this chat as well, so you can just refer it and you can or although you have the recording, but it will be easy actually for you guys if I'll paste it here. There's a chat option for me. Yes, here we go. Okay, so I have sent all the questions, so you can refer that as well, and you would be having all the answers in our session as well. Okay, so I'm good actually from my end. Any questions you do have before we wind up this course?
Vinay, can you suggest any URLs or for Sailpoint to go through? Maybe any
For
YouTube.
Sailpoint,
Yeah, yeah.
for Sailpoint learning point of view, is it?
Yes, yes.
Do you have access of Compass?
Compass, what's that? I didn't get.
Or you don't know that, is it? Mine is not opening right now, but I'll show you quickly that. So this is the best way actually to learn further to this one. Compass Sailpoint into type. Okay. Do you work for any like big organization which do have connect with Sailpoint, like their partner,
No,
or do you work
no,
for any?
no. We are not using Sailpoint yet.
Okay, okay. But still, if your company, they are maybe every company they do have connect with SailPoint. Just check it out. So
Okay.
so basically, in the SailPoint, this is a SailPoint community. Okay. So under this, you need to sign in from here. Once you do sign in from here, it will ask you whether you are a client or partner. Okay. So if you are a partner, then it will show you that pop-up. Okay, you can add the password. So this is for me, right? Because I have the connect with SailPoint. I can log into their portal. But if but you would be having just check it out. So either you can create your own account in SailPoint, but use this site actually, Compass SailPoint. Okay, here there's a big community where you can post any of your query, and you will see lots of learning material as well, free of cost. Okay, so use this one for further learning, and here you will get the glance of certification as well, which you can clear for SailPoint. So that's a good learning opportunity. Don't go for any other thing, but use only this one, SailPoint.
Okay. So I
Compass
think I
SailPoint,
need to
correct.
register now. Okay.
Yes, yes, you need to register for that, correct. You register for that, and any queries you can write it to support at the rate sailpoint.com. Any queries, they will
Yeah.
help you out.
Okay. Thank
So that's a
you.
good community. You can ask any questions to them.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, any other questions? Okay, great. So I think we had a good time. I think you also have learned SailPoint during this journey. So I hope all the best to all of you. Like keep on learning SailPoint, do clear certificates, and just go for the interviews, change your companies, do the good work in your current organization. Okay, so I hope this will be helpful, and maybe we'll connect again sometime for any other courses as well in future.
So
Okay, thanks
yeah, sure.
everyone. Yeah,
Thanks for your time, Vinay.
yeah. Thank you, Lord. Bye bye. Take
Yeah,
care.
bye. Bye all.